Chapter 1906. He is actually Fang Yuan. The sudden change occurred in front of all the immortals. Shen Songsheng got close to the mysterious demonic immortal. He showed an agitated expression. Finally, I've finally found you, Ancestor Xinshang. Shen Songsheng shouted in a slightly trembling voice. His true motive in coming here was to save his ancestor, Xinshang. Xinshang was the most outstanding Gu immortal in Xin clan. He had outstanding talent that was publicly recognized. In fact, when he was still a rank 6 Gu immortal, a wisdom path rank 8 great expert had said that he was the hundreds of years Eastern immortal leader. With half of a venerable's talent, it meant that he would become the leader of Eastern Seas immortals in hundreds of years when he reaches rank 8. His talent was so high it could compare to half a venerable. However, Xinshang pursued strength and gradually fell into the demonic path. He started to commit heinous deeds. His clan treasured his talent, and even though they punished him, it was not a severe punishment. They protected him continuously. Xinshang did not change his ways. He became more daring, and as a righteous path Gu immortal on the surface, he acted like a demon. Eastern Seas Gu immortal world was kept in the dark. Shen clan managed to conceal the fact, but they could not hide it from Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable took action, suppressing him, but did not expose his identity publicly. Shen clan did not dare to publicize it. They only announced that Xinshang had died from his tribulation. After Shen Songsheng captured Guyu Fangzhong, Heavenly Court contacted him and told him about Xinshang's information in exchange for Fangzhong. Therefore, Shen Songsheng learned that Xinshang was still alive, and that he was imprisoned within Dragon Whale Paradise. In order to enter Dragon Whale Paradise, Shen Songsheng mobilized the whole of Xin clan to investigate and search in secret. Right at this time, Ren Xiaoping targeted Miao Ming Shun and attacked them, exposing clues leading to the Blue Dragon Whale. After Xin clan learned of this, Shen Songsheng led them to force Ren Xiaoping to submit. They learned that Miao Ming Shun had a way to find the exact location of the Blue Dragon Whale. Miao Ming Shun gathered 8 immortals to search for the Paradise Earth true inheritance in the Blue Dragon Whale. Ren Xiaoping and Shen Songsheng learned about it and followed them. After that, it led to a series of events. After Shen Songsheng came to Dragon Whale Paradise, he tried all the ways possible to find Xinshang's location. After a few missions, Shen Clan Gu Immortal Shin Qi got the information of Regret Crying Sea. Shen Songsheng guessed that the demonic immortal in Regret Crying Sea was likely Xinshang. However, he could not be happy for long because he heard of terrifying news. Chuing actually accepted the mission to kill Xinshang. This shocked Shen Songsheng. He quickly contacted Fang Yuan, lying that he was looking for response Gu and offering a large amount of immortal materials to express his goodwill. Thus, Fang Yuan brought Shen Songsheng into Regret Crying Sea. Shen Songsheng waited secretly and did not make a move. Only at the last moment, he acted and saved Xinshang with one attack. This change made everyone dumbfounded other than the Shen clan Gu immortals. Immediately, Miao Ming Shun and the rest had dark expressions. Their hearts sank to rock bottom. Shen Songsheng was a rank 8 Gu immortal to begin with. They had another Xinshang who was a rank 8 Gu immortal now as well. Back then, Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable had to suppress him personally. He definitely had outstanding battle strength that was not to be underestimated. With Xinshang, Shen clan's strength rose greatly. Not only in Dragon Whale Paradise, but even in Eastern Sea, there would be a shocking change. Currently, in Eastern Sea's righteous path, Shen clan would be the only superforce with 2 rank 8 Gu immortals. Shen clan would become the strongest force in Eastern Sea. This would have huge impact and bring immense benefits to Shen clan. Back then, Heavenly Court exposed the secret to them. It was no wonder that Shen Songsheng immediately released Fang Zheng without caring about Qixi ancestor, who was hinting that he wanted to get Fang Zheng. You are a descendant of my Shen clan? Xinshang floated in the air, looking at Shen Songsheng. His eyes shined with brilliance as he nodded. Indeed, you are a member of Shen clan. What year is it now? Xinshang had a hoarse voice. It was even more coarse than crow's. He wore a gray robe that was tattered. His face was pale and his hair was messy. His eyes were bloodshot and red. His peak rank 8 aura radiated from his body with an intense force. Shun Tsung Sheng answered his question and told him that Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable had died long ago. So long has passed. Shun Shang sighed deeply. Lord Paradise Earth died after all. Sigh. His attitude towards Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable was a bit strange. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable suppressed him, but he actually called Paradise Earth Lord. After sighing, Xin Shang looked towards Fang Yuan and the other immortals that he gazed around and understood the situation. He cupped his fists and smiled. Good. It seems that my Shin clan has many talented people. Afterwards, he focused his gaze on Fang Yuan as he spoke in a gentle tone. Friend, I was able to escape thanks to you. It was mostly due to your effort. Do you wish to join Shin clan and become our external supreme elder? He actually wanted to recruit Fang Yuan. Indeed, Fang Yuan had displayed sufficient value already. Just his formation path grandmaster status was something Shin clan wanted. And looking at his attainment and age, it was possible that he could break through to formation path great grandmaster in his lifetime. Shun Tsung Sheng cupped his fists towards Fang Yuan, adding, Chuing, I lied earlier, but I did not have a choice. Saving our ancestor Shin Shang is extremely important to Shin clan. I hope you can understand. Fang Yuan nodded with a plain expression. He even had a smile on his face. Of course I understand. If it were me, I would do the same. But Shin clan wants to recruit me? Fang Yuan laughed as he shook his head. Shun Tsung Sheng said coldly, Friend Chuing, why are you laughing? Fang Yuan raised his eyebrows. On what foundation is your Shin clan trying to recruit me? You guys are simply unqualified. Shun Tsung Sheng's gaze turned cold as ice. His Shin clan was an Eastern Sea super force. They owned 7 large sea areas and thousands of middle and small sea areas. They even had 2 rank 8s now. With such strength, they were not qualified to recruit a tiny lone immortal. Chuing, don't be too arrogant. My Shin clan is giving you a chance. This is the magnanimity of our ancestor Shin Shang. Don't think too highly of yourself. Shin Xiao and Shin Qi quickly spoke. They flew out of the supplementary formations, gathering with Shun Tsung Sheng and Shin Shang. Shin Shang's bloodshot eyes had deep killing intent. He looked at Fang Yuan and spoke with an icy voice. Chuing, I need to remind you, you were all sent here by the merit obelisk. Paradise Earth's method restricts you from fighting each other. But I have been trapped here for countless years. I am not restricted by the merit obelisk, so all of you can be attacked by me. The expressions of Miao Ming Shun and the rest changed. Their worst nightmare had come true. What should they do now? Right when they were helpless, they suddenly heard Fang Yuan laughing loudly as he pointed his finger at Shin Shang, who was in the sky, provoking him to attack. Miao Ming Shun and the rest were dumbfounded. Was this courage or stupidity? They could not tell. Shin Shang's eyes shined with blood-red light as he lowered his voice that was filled with anger. You are courting death, then. Go. Saying so, he opened his mouth as a blood-colored sound wave in a ball-shaped shot towards Fang Yuan. The sound wave was very fast. In almost an instant, it flew through the sky and landed on the supplementary formation. Boom! The supplementary formation collapsed instantly. It did not even last for a moment. An intense explosion occurred. A huge sea wave surged into the sky. It was tens of feet tall before the wave landed. The explosion had already caused damage to the surroundings, Miao Ming Shun, and the rest had to fly into the sky, away from their supplementary formations. All of the supplementary formations were destroyed. Miao Ming Shun and the rest had ashen expressions. Shin Shang's attack was definitely at rank 8 level. It was terrifying. From their perspective, there was little chance that Chu Ying survived that. The truth was, they did not care about Chu Ying's situation right now. They were more worried about themselves. Because Shin Shang had proven his words from earlier with action, he could really attack Miao Ming Shun and the others. Ancestor is so powerful. Shun Tsung Sheng squinted. He knew the inside details. Shin Shang did not cultivate sound path primarily. The sound path method he used earlier was not his true strength. Chu Ying is dead meat. Good that he died. I disliked him from the start. Indeed, he only had rank 7 cultivation level, but acted so arrogantly because he knew things about the dragon whale paradise. He truly had no regard for us. He dared to provoke a rank 8. He truly wanted to die. Shen Xiao said as he suddenly stammered. After the huge waves crashed down, new enormous waves were formed. Within the steam and mist, a shiny ship that was covered in silver-white light appeared in front of all of the immortals. Chu Ying's arms were behind his back. He stood at the deck as he carried the same smile as before. Shenshang saw this as his pupils shrunk. He gasped with shock. Rank 8 Immortal Gu House? The other Gu immortals were all stunned. They were so familiar with this immortal Gu house. No, in the current 5 regions, which Gu immortal did not know about this immortal Gu house? This is Myriad Year Flying Warship. Rin Xiaoping cried out. He felt his scalp going numb. Chu Ying actually has Myriad Year Flying Warship. Who in the world is he? Shun Xiao was tongue-tied. The immortals stared at Fang Yuan with fixed gazes. He gradually dispelled familiar face as he showed his true appearance. After seeing his true appearance, all of the immortals' hearts shook. None of them could stay indifferent. Hua Dai screamed out loud. It's Fang Yuan. She was too shocked. She had always felt that Fang Yuan was high and mighty, far away from people like them. To think that he was around her the entire time, it was truly unbelievable. It's Fang Yuan. Shen Clan's Gu immortals gritted their teeth. Some were breathing and gasping loudly. So that was it. Miao Mingshen gulped as he swallowed his saliva. Chu Ying was a fake identity of Fang Yuan. After all, how could such a powerful lone immortal appear in Eastern Sea suddenly? It was Fang Yuan after all. Who was Fang Yuan? He had inherited many venerable inheritances. He was someone who could not be assessed with common sense. No wonder Chu Ying had such attainment in transformation path and formation path. This was just a fragment of Fang Yuan's true strength. Now everything made sense. Shun Songsheng's expression was pale as he gritted his teeth. In just a short time, sweat had gathered on his forehead already. It was this great demon Fang Yuan. No wonder he had such an attitude. Even against 2 rank 8s, he showed such disdain towards Shen Clan that it was normal. Shen Songsheng suddenly felt that it was a logical situation. All of his anger towards Chu Ying's arrogance vanished completely. Without a trace, Fang Yuan dared to provoke even Heavenly Court and kill their members. How could Shen Clan even compare? After his anger subsided, he felt intense fear afterwards. He actually met with Fang Yuan. This was such a problematic person. Shen Songsheng sighed in his heart. His luck was really bad. Why did he meet Fang Yuan of all people? At this moment, his rank 8 strength could not give him confidence. He was panicking internally. At this moment, Shen Songsheng heard Shenshang's voice. Who is Fang Yuan? Shen Songsheng looked at Shenshang, who had a confused expression. He felt that this was very strange. This Gu immortal only had rank 7 cultivation level. He had only changed his appearance. Why were they all so afraid? Shenshang looked at Shen Songsheng with a gaze that had slight questioning. It seemed to be saying, "You are a great rank 8. Why are you afraid of a rank 7? What is there to fear?" Even though Fang Yuan showed his appearance, he did not reveal his rank 8 aura. It was still concealed. Shen Songsheng blinked as he shuddered internally. Could he remain calm? Could he look at Fang Yuan using common sense and cultivation level? He was a ruthless demon who dared to trample on Heavenly Court. He destroyed 6 immortal Gu houses belonging to Heavenly Court earlier. He even slaughtered a bunch of Heavenly Court Gu immortals. He was ruthless and scheming. Even Heavenly Court was without options against him. Now that Shen Clan offended him, forget about 2 rank 8s. Even if they had a group of rank 8s, Shen Songsheng would not feel safe at all. Chapter 1907. Human Path Quasi-Supreme. At this point, Fang Yuan was no longer like before. Heavenly Court was the reason for his overwhelming fame and dominance. Even though he only displayed rank 7 cultivation level, it was enough to intimidate most rank 8 Gu immortals in the world. Ancestor. Shen Songsheng sent an information path mortal Gu to Shenshang. It contained everything they knew about Fang Yuan. Shenshang received the mortal Gu as his divine sense swept through it. He looked towards Fang Yuan with a new type of gaze. Fang Yuan? Even Heavenly Court cannot do anything against you. Interesting. Shenshang's eyes burst out with blood-red light. He laughed wildly. To think that a person like you would appear in the world, this is wonderful, because now, I won't feel lonely. Saying so, a strong aura burst out of his body, overwhelming the surroundings and dominating everyone's hearts. Not only did Shenshang not feel threatened by Fang Yuan's information, He even became extremely motivated to fight. Looking at Shen Shang's action, Shen Songsheng felt a sense of confidence in his heart. I'm likely not Fang Yuan's match, but with ancestor Shen Shang here, who is not an ordinary rank 8 Gu immortal, the outcome is still unknown. While he was thinking that, a silver light shot out and filled Shen Songsheng's vision. Damn it! The alarms in Shen Songsheng's mind rang wildly. He quickly retreated. The next moment, myriad-year flying warship flew over, drawing a beautiful arc of light in the air as it traveled. If he reacted slower and stayed on the spot, Shen Songsheng would have been hit by myriad-year flying warship. Shen Songsheng did not dare to imagine the result of that collision. This was the advantage of an immortal Gu house. Activating immortal killer moves took time, but using an immortal Gu house to charge and rampage would instantly allow one to unleash an offensive method. Myriad-year flying warship shot off again. Fang Yuan mobilized myriad-year flying warship and went after Shen Shang, ignoring Shen Songsheng completely. Shen Shang did not dare to test myriad-year flying warship with his bare body either. He was forced into being chased around by myriad-year flying warship. Shen Songsheng and the other Shen clan Gu immortals wanted to help out, but they were helpless when they found out that they could not attack Fang Yuan. Damn it! Shen Songsheng gritted his teeth. In this situation, Shen clan's superiority in numbers could not be used. They could only watch as Fang Yuan fought against Shen Shang. As for Miao Ming Shun and the rest, they did not dare to participate in such a battle. They were retreating already, hiding at a corner of the battlefield. Shen Shang, as an ancestor of Shen clan, all you can do is run around? Fang Yuan mocked from within myriad-year flying warship. But even inside myriad-year flying warship, he was still restricted by Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's method. Fang Yuan had many subordinates in the sovereign immortal aperture, but he could not let them out. He could only control myriad-year flying warship alone, that if he could let out his subordinates, his numbers would far surpass Shen clan. Humph! Arrogant Junior. Shen Shang was angered by Fang Yuan's words. He stopped in the air and used an immortal killer move. Shen Shang's flying attainment was very high. He was able to fly rapidly, capable of catching up to myriad-year flying warship, in the process of escaping. He had been preparing his killer move. He finally unleashed it now. Immortal killer move, Night Song. The melancholic song quickly spread across the battlefield, and the sadness contained in it was like a tidal wave, constantly filling the hearts of the people. The song had a slow tempo. It focused on the person's vocals, along with the sounds of drums and zither. It was traditional, yet sad. Hua Dai and Feng Jiang, who were at the periphery, were already crying. Miao Ming Shun, Rin Xiaoping, and the rest all had sad expressions. They could not help it. Fang Yuan snorted coldly. Myriad-year flying warship shined with radiance as it helped him to block the power of Night Song. But Shen Shang had already achieved his goal that he activated. Night Song. Not to directly deal with the Gu immortals here, but to create a battlefield environment. The song enveloped the sea and sky. A trace of twilight mist spread out from the sound waves, permeating the entire field, and after a few breaths, the entire regret-crying sea turned pitch black. The Gu immortals were trapped in this dark area and could not see anything. All they could hear was the sorrowful Night Song. Their morale and battle intent fell drastically. If this continued, they were going to be defenseless. Even though Fang Yuan was barely affected, the surrounding darkness meant that he had lost sight of his target as well. Fang Yuan immediately activated his investigative method to try to find Shen Shang's location. But Shen Shang sensed something as he laughed. Fang Yuan, you fell for my trap. Saying so, he activated a killer move, sensory injury. Fang Yuan grunted immediately. He was directly hit by it. He was shocked as he quickly realized. This is a human path killer move. No wonder my myriad-year flying warship could not guard against it. Immortal Gu houses had both offense and defense. They provided a huge assurance to the Gu immortal and were very safe. But this defense was not perfect. When Fang Yuan designed myriad-year flying warship, he considered most paths, but human path was his weakness. He was not a human path grandmaster back then. By the time he gained the attainment level, myriad-year flying warship was already built. It could not be changed. He could only adjust it a little, but there could not be major modifications. And most importantly, Fang Yuan lacked defensive human path immortal Gu. Xinshang definitely has a high-rank human path, immortal Gu. After Fang Yuan was hit, he understood a bit of his enemy's foundation.I in terms of information. Fang Yuan was the one at the losing end. He did not know much about Xinshang, but Xinshang knew a lot about him. Fang Yuan had trump cards, of course, like his rank 8 cultivation level, 5 restriction profound light qi, and others, but he intended to keep these methods as a secret. He did not want to expose them now. Within this dragon whale paradise, Fang Yuan could not attack Shen Songsheng, Miao Mingshun, and Rin Xiuping. If they brought this information out of dragon whale paradise, it was easy for others to find out. Thus, Fang Yuan decided to use the methods that he had already exposed before to fight. Immortal killer move, Daybreak Sword. Myriad year flying warship's aura surged as a blinding white light shot out. From the silver white light bubbled the water of the river of time, from which countless strands of silver light emerged. The silver rays quickly condensed and took shape, transforming into many sharp, sword-like blades that shot out violently. The group of flying swords whistled past, pointing straight at Xinshang. Daybreak Flying Sword was a genuine rank 8 killer move. Its power was immense, but when Xinshang saw the group of flying swords, he laughed loudly and did not dodge. Silver-white flying swords landed on his body. Xinshang's body surged with a mysterious aura. He did not die, but was covered in injuries. But soon, all the injuries over his body disappeared and turned into Dao marks. Incredible. The records in the clan are indeed correct. Ancestor Xinshang was most proficient at healing. Shen Songsheng saw this scene and exclaimed in his mind. When Xinshang was still young, he was a healing physician. When he was a Gu master, he began to travel Eastern Sea, and because of his powerful and unique healing methods, he soon became famous and well-known. He was also praised for his charitable acts, often helping the poor and needy without charging the slightest consultation fee. He received a warm welcome wherever he went, precisely because of his fame and reputation established in his youth. When he fell into the demonic path later and committed all sorts of demonic acts, Eastern Sea's Gu immortals did not manage to link these crimes to him. Within Myriad Year Flying Warship, Fang Yuan squinted his eyes and felt something amiss. This healing method is another human path killer move. Under normal circumstances, the injuries of Gu immortals would have dense Dao marks that were difficult to heal. But Xinshang possessed human path methods. He could heal himself with extreme efficiency and yielded quick results. The group of flying swords continued to shoot out, many of them piercing through his body. However, these wounds were completely healed almost instantly. Immortal killer move. Mutual injuries. Xinshang saw that the time was ripe and quickly unleashed the killer move that he had already prepared. In Myriad Year Flying Warship, Fang Yuan grunted as hundreds of wounds instantly formed on his body. Wounds burst open and blood splattered everywhere. The wounds were filled with human path Dao marks, which then spread rapidly from the wounds, scattering everywhere while being connected as one. Alarm bells rang in Fang Yuan's heart. These human path Dao marks were like a hanging rope around his neck. Once the numbers increased, it would endanger Fang Yuan's life. The crucial moment. Fang Yuan activated his wisdom path killer move first. In an instant, the thoughts in his mind blossomed like fireworks. All sorts of thoughts collided, converged, and fused into each other. Xinshang's methods are bizarre. He was able to bypass Myriad Year Flying Warship to directly injure me. Such a terrifying killer move. His human path attainment level is definitely more than a level above mine. I'm afraid he's a human path quasi-supreme grandmaster. Any killer move needs to sense its target first. It can only take effect after it senses its target. How did he sense me? I see. The previous night song killer move was just a trap to lure me into detecting him. He then followed this connection and found his way to me. Everything in this world was interconnected. When a fist hits a sand dune, a pit would appear on the sand, while the fist would also be covered in sand and mud. Previously, Eastern Sea Wisdom Path Gu Immortal Hua and deduced Fang Yuan, but instead, Fang Yuan followed this connection and deduced Hua and situation. Not long ago, Heavenly Court Gu Immortals moved to blockade the Stone Lotus Island with the River Suppression Lotus Sealing Formation, and it was with this layer of suppression and sealing that Fang Yuan was able to follow this connection and destroy the River Suppression Lotus Sealing Formation. Now, Xinshang did the same thing to sense Fang Yuan. It followed the same logic. In just half a breath of time, Fang Yuan had already figured it out. He immediately made his move, making myriad year flying warship retreat while scattering the daybreak flying swords. While he began to activate a healing killer move on himself, his reaction was so swift that it left Xinshang slightly stunned. The next moment, this demonic immortal, who was suppressed by Paradise Earth immortal venerable himself, laughed with a hint of madness. Fang Yuan, do you think you'll be safe if you don't attack me? Ha ha ha, watch closely. As he said that, he activated a killer move again, his 5 fingers spread wide and his palm pressed against his chest. Immortal killer move. Light injuries. Xinshang grunted as he was hit by his own killer move. His expression turned pale. Within myriad year flying warship, Fang Yuan's body shook as he coughed out a huge mouthful of blood. Chapter 1908. Blackfire. Non-conflicting down marks. The sovereign immortal body's greatest advantage was also its greatest weakness. At this moment, it was fully exposed. All along, Fang Yuan had been consciously avoiding this flaw, but Xinshang's killer move was too peculiar. It could not be guarded against. Who could have thought that Night Song killer move was just a trap? Xinshang was chased by myriad year flying warship. It was a normal thing to use this killer move to conceal his own traces if Fang Yuan did not use an investigative method. Xinshang would hide within the darkness. He would not be able to do anything. The human path down marks on Fang Yuan's injuries grew rapidly. The light injuries on Xinshang's body also affected Fang Yuan due to the killer move mutual injuries. And in Fang Yuan's case, because of non-conflicting down marks, his light injuries became heavy injuries. But thankfully, all sorts of healing killer moves had their full effect when used on Fang Yuan as well. Thus, as he used a powerful healing method on himself, Fang Yuan instantly recovered. Immortal killer move. Heavy injuries. Xinshang snickered as he started to hurt himself. With greater intensity than before, Fang Yuan's body shook intensely. His vision turned dark as his 7 orifices started to bleed. No. In terms of healing methods, I cannot compare to Xinshang. I need to find another way. Fang Yuan understood as determination flashed in his eyes. Immortal killer move. Heavy injuries. Immortal killer move. Heavy injuries. Immortal killer move. Heavy injuries. Xinshang continued to injure himself as he turned crazy. He laughed loudly as blood spewed out of his mouth. He heavily injured himself, but rapidly healed as well, continuing the cycle. This was such a strange fighting style. It made all the Gu immortals dumbfounded. Miao Mingshun and the rest had nervous expressions. They were very worried. Shun Clan's Gu immortals were very excited. Even though they could not see Fang Yuan's condition, his flying swords had disintegrated while myriad year flying warship continued to back off. Ancestor Xinshang actually forced back Fang Yuan. Impressive. Shen Tsongsheng was very excited. He could also see the rise of Shen Clan. Miao Mingshun's eyes shined with bright light as he thought to himself. Not good. Even though Fang Yuan has myriad year flying warship, Xinshang's offensive methods bypass this immortal Gu house. It counters Fang Yuan. He is just a rank 7 after all, while Xinshang is a genuine rank 8 Gu immortal. Guo Chi Yi and Tu Tu Tua were very confused. This Xinshang was suppressed by Paradise Earth immortal venerable back then. It is not normal that he could live for so long. And the strange thing is, he does not lack immortal Gu. When Paradise Earth immortal venerable suppressed him, didn't he take away or destroy his immortal Gu first? Ugh. Right at this moment, Xinshang's wild laughter came to an abrupt stop. Surprise and confusion appeared on his face. His connection to Fang Yuan was weakening rapidly. How did Fang Yuan do it? How could he break and get around this method so quickly? Immortal killer move. Self-cleansing. Self-cleansing could eliminate harmful Dao marks on the user's body. Fang Yuan used this killer move to quickly get rid of the human path Dao marks on his body. The blood-red light in Xinshang's eyes flickered. He started to mutilate himself even more intensely, causing the human path Dao marks on Fang Yuan's body to grow rapidly. As long as a single human path Dao mark remained on Fang Yuan's body, he could use this connection to attack Fang Yuan while bypassing myriad year flying warship. But right now, Fang Yuan had already stabilized the situation. Myriad year flying warship gradually flew closer, as Fang Yuan's voice resounded from within. "It is my turn now, Xinshang." 12 Zodiac Ancient Battle Formation. Bam! With a loud sound, the huge gray stone giant appeared again. The giant moved extremely quickly. Its two hands grabbed towards Xinshang as they spread open. Xinshang squinted and snorted coldly. He quickly retreated, attempting to pull some distance from the giant. Under Fang Yuan's manipulation, the gray stone giant only attempted to capture Xinshang. It did not attack fiercely. The gray stone giant had very powerful offensive methods, even though this was not the River of Time. It still had peak rank 8 strength, but he was currently using capture as the objective instead of hurting Xinshang. Xinshang had no choice but to dodge. The battle went into a deadlock. Xinshang dodged the 12 Zodiac battle formation while using killer moves to mutilate himself. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan manipulated Myriad Year Flying Warship as he healed himself, using self-cleansing to get rid of harmful human path down marks. Myriad Year Flying Warship and the Gray Stone Giant worked together, chasing after Xinshang and obstructing him. Xinshang was already having some trouble dodging Myriad Year Flying Warship. With the addition of the Gray Stone Giant, he fell into a disadvantage. Every time he was about to get caught, Xinshang would emit a loud scream that caused sound waves to burst out, opening a path for him. Both sides continued to fight, rampaging in the battlefield. It implicated Miao Mingshin's group, as well as the Shin clan. Immortals, Huadai and Feng Jiang were first to give up. They were transported away from the battlefield, followed by Tong Hua, Tu Tua, Goei Yi, and the rest. After that were Shin clan's immortals, Miao Mingshin, and Ren Xiaoping. Eventually, only Shun Songsheng was left in the battlefield. Not everyone was qualified to watch a battle between rank 8s after all. Shun Songsheng's expression became increasingly dark. The battle was tilting in Fang Yuan's favor. Xinshang was getting into a difficult spot while Fang Yuan was having an easier time now. This lad has deep wisdom path attainment. He has countless thoughts in his mind. He can multitask easily. In this aspect, I am at the losing end. Xinshang gritted his teeth. At this point in the battle, he felt like he had fallen into a swamp. The more he struggled, the deeper he sank. The battle had already left his control. Suddenly, Fang Yuan walked out of the cabin, arriving at the bow of the ship. He pointed at Xinshang as a time path killer move was unleashed. Xinshang was caught off guard. He could not dodge. After getting hit by this move, his movement slowed. The rate of time on him had been halved. The gray stone giant used this chance to grab Xinshang. It squeezed. Xinshang laughed loudly. His hair was messy and his eyes were bloodshot. He had no fear. "Go ahead and kill me." Fang Yuan snorted. He ordered the gray stone giant. It gripped to form a cage of 10 fingers, imprisoning Xinshang and preventing him from moving. After understanding Xinshang's offensive methods, Fang Yuan easily countered it. As long as he was captured and not killed, he could not do anything to harm Fang Yuan. Xinshang struggled. He screamed wildly, but could not escape. Shen Songsheng saw that the situation was bad. He wanted to help, but was quickly faced with backlash. He could not get away from Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's restrictions. "I finally succeeded." Fang Yuan let out a breath of air. Xinshang lived up to his reputation. This person who was suppressed by Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable personally really had some skills. His methods were peculiar and strange. They were hard to guard against. Fang Yuan had fallen for them earlier. Of course, Fang Yuan still controlled the situation without wasting many of his hidden trump cards that in the worst case, Fang Yuan could return to the starting island. With this assurance, he could not lose to begin. With all, Xinshang shouted loudly. His face was distorted. Fang Yuan's brows slowly started to furrow. Xinshang's current situation was quite strange. He constantly laughed and struggled madly without using any immortal killer moves, but the next moment, his bloodshot eyes turned pitch black. The black color spread until it filled his eyes. With a light sound, a lump of black fire started to burn on his body. Within the fire, Xinshang's body shook like he was having a spasm. He drooled uncontrollably as he waved his limbs around. He growled like a wild beast that was out of control. The black fire on Xinshang's body was not eye-catching, but once it spread to the gray stone giant's hands, the giant screamed in pain as it got burned by the fire. After both hands got into contact with the black fire, they started to melt. completely defenseless against this strange black fire. Fang Yuan's gaze turned colder. The peculiarity and strength of this black fire was far beyond his imagination. Seeing that the situation was bad, Fang Yuan quickly deactivated the ancient battle formation at the next moment. The gray stone giant vanished while 12 immemorial year beasts appeared in the sky. Among them, 2 immemorial year beasts contacted the black fire and lost their reasoning. They rolled around in the sky, growling in pain as they struggled intensely. Thankfully, the other 10 immemorial year beasts acted like this was their biggest threat. After regaining freedom, they quickly fled from the black fire as far as they could. Fang Yuan and Shun Tsung Sheng frowned deeply with solemn expressions. This black fire was too strange. The two of them could not tell what path this black fire belonged to. At the same time, they felt an extreme feeling of threat. Their skulls felt numb as they sensed this danger. The black fire was like the enemy of all life forms. The 2 immemorial year beasts were already covered in the fire. They growled as they fell to the ground. Fang Yuan had a strong premonition. If these 2 immemorial year beasts fell into the seawater, the black fire would cause an even greater tragedy. But he did not do anything. He went into myriad-year flying warship and retreated. Shen Shang, who had lost the restriction of the gray stone giant, floated in the air and laughed wildly like a lunatic. Shen Tsung called him several times, but it went unheard. Seeing this strange situation, Shen Tsung also wisely chose to retreat. Right when those 2 immemorial year beasts were about to enter the water, a golden white pillar of light shot out from the underwater formation, pushing these 2 immemorial year beasts up into the sky. The underwater formation that had only 40% left burst out with unprecedented power as it operated at full force. The golden white light expanded as it covered Xinshang as well. The black fire continued to burn Xinshang and the 2 immemorial year beasts, but the white gold light pillar immobilized them on the spot. Such a change caused Shen Tsung to be stunned. Suddenly, Fang Yuan made his move. Daybreak flying swords flew out and pierced the white gold light pillar, stabbing into Xinshang. Stop it! Watching that his ancestor was attacked by Fang Yuan, Shen Tsung shouted anxiously. Fang Yuan smiled coldly as he activated his flying swords with even greater intensity. This odd black fire was very harmful. Seeing that the underwater formation had taken action to stop it from even entering the sea, it was obvious. Shen Tsung could only watch helplessly. Fang Yuan willed again as his flying swords split into 2 groups. The other group went to attack his immemorial year beasts. Due to the attack of the daybreak flying swords, the black fire still burned, but it had weakened by a very slight amount. Daybreak sword was a rank 8 killer move, yet it nearly had no effect. Fang Yuan continued to attack, but the black fire suddenly changed, transforming into lumps of silver-white mist. Chapter 1909. Shun Tsung Sheng's Immortal Materials. This black fire can still transform? Fang Yuan's eyes shined with bright light. He shook his head immediately after. The silver-white mist still had a strange aura. It did not belong to any path. The silver-white mist did not seem to be fundamentally different from the black fire. And while enveloped by it, Xinshang was still going crazy. The 2 immemorial year beasts were also continuing to howl. When Fang Yuan fired his daybreak flying swords again, he discovered that the power of the daybreak flying swords actually boosted the silver-white mist, causing the latter to increase in size. Suspicious, Fang Yuan immediately changed his mind and went on a furious rampage with wind blades instead. The silver-white mist was weakened again, but the rate of decline was still very small. After the attack lasted for a while, the silver-white mist suddenly turned into 3 large whirlwinds, covering Xinshang and the 2 immemorial year beasts. Fang Yuan's wind blade shot into the whirlwind and began to boost the latter's power. Again, Fang Yuan started to experiment and wisely began to swap his tactics. Other Gu immortals might have to stop, but Fang Yuan cultivated all paths. He had an astonishing number of immortal Gu at his disposal. He also had attainment level in many paths. He was even more skilled at transitioning to different paths. Under Fang Yuan's attack, the strange black fire kept transforming and getting smaller and smaller. The 2 immemorial year beasts were the first to die. Without their corpses left, Fang Yuan was soon left with only Xinshang as his target. Wait, wait. Fang Yuan, I have a huge amount of wealth to gift to you. Shun Tsungsheng could no longer watch this continue. He called out loudly to his joy. Fang Yuan actually stopped. Fang Yuan looked at Shun Tsungsheng and smiled. Do you want me to let your clan's ancestor go? You should know that this is a demonic immortal. The very demonic immortal that Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable suppressed personally in the past. You've seen his current state, crazy as a beast, delirious, and consistent with what is described on the Merit Obelisk. You still want to save him? Shun Tsungsheng looked deeply at the imprisoned Xinshang in the Pillar of Light and made up his mind. I believe this madness is only temporary. It would be too much of a coincidence if Ancestor Xinshang happened to fall into permanent madness right when I was about to rescue him, right? And what price can you pay for that? Fang Yuan asked. How about you take a look at this? Shun Tsungsheng pulled out an immortal material. It was a bag. The bag was not large and seemed to be the size of a grown man's fist. However, the surface of the bag was covered with a pattern that seemed like gems or blue swirls. If one stared closely, one would notice that these sapphire-like swirls were constantly rotating. But when one came back to one's senses, these lines were still lines, as if the scene had just been an illusion. Fang Yuan, however, raised his eyebrows and lightly smiled. So it's the Treasure Blue Beaver's stomach pouch. Treasure Blue Beaver was an immemorial desolate beast, often traveling between Eastern Sea and immemorial Blue Heaven. Now that immemorial Blue Heaven had shattered, the Treasure Blue Beaver also went extinct. In history, the Gu Immortal who slaughtered the most Treasure Blue Beavers was Old Immortal Kong Ju. Old Immortal Kong Ju was one of the 3 supreme grandmasters of Refinement Path, comparable to Longhair Ancestor. The Treasure Blue Beaver that he went after and paid attention to was naturally extraordinary. Not to mention, this stomach pouch alone was half an immortal aperture. It contained space path and water path Dao marks. There was a whole small world inside of it, which could hide countless treasures. A Gu Immortal could obtain it and merge it into his or her immortal aperture, increasing the size of their grotto heaven. Because of this characteristic, the Treasure Blue Beaver had been hunted down and killed extensively by Gu Immortals. It was no surprise that Treasure Blue Beavers went extinct. The stomach pouch of the Treasure Blue Beaver could be said to be the most valuable thing in its body. And in today's world where Treasure Blue Beavers were extinct, the value of this stomach pouch was even higher than normal. In short, this was an extremely rare and highly valuable treasure. Fang Yuan reached out his hand and directly took this stomach pouch from Shun Tsungsheng's hands. The stomach pouch was light, and the surface was very slippery. Fang Yuan inspected it and found that nothing was tampered, so he put it into his immortal aperture in front of Shun Tsungsheng without any concern. Next, he smiled. Anything else? Shun Tsungsheng took a deep breath and pulled out a long black rod with much difficulty. And this one too, catch it. He gathered strength and threw the black rod at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan stretched out his arm to catch it. The rod was very heavy, but he also had a lot of strength path Dao marks on him. It was naturally easy. Unlike Shun Tsungsheng, who was a pure sound path Gu Immortal, this black rod was taller than Fang Yuan. It had the thickness of a goose egg. The surface was also very rough. The weight was not light, as if it was a crude iron tool. However, Fang Yuan could feel a dense aura of life from it. This was an ancient desolate plant, but it had no roots, no branches, nor leaves. There was only the trunk, the top of the trunk. There were countless star marks. Some of them were 5-edged, some 2-edged, compactly arranged. All of them were emitting pale starlight. Falling Star Rod Tree. Fang Yuan spoke. Shun Tsungsheng nodded his head and exclaimed, Fang Yuan, your extensive knowledge is to be admired. The growth conditions of this tree were still a mystery, as it had been extraordinarily rare and low in quantity since ancient times. That it had the unique trait of constantly attracting stars, falling into the trunk of the tree and turning into a single star mark. That was why it was called Falling Star. According to rumors, one of the motives that Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable had when he traveled the world alone was to collect this tree. The value of the Falling Star Rod Tree did not just lie in itself. It be why planting it in the immortal aperture The Gu immortal could use it to create an entire system of orbiting stars. It was a unique ecology that brought incremental gains every year, and the total amount of gains over time, day after day, year after year, was almost impossible to estimate. Like the treasure blue beaver's stomach pouch, Fang Yuan placed the falling star rod tree into the immortal aperture once again. The natural demeanor that he had almost gave Shen Tsongsheng the illusion that this rare, immemorial, desolate plant belonged to Fang Yuan in the first place. What else? Fang Yuan smiled. These alone can't exchange for a rank 8 great expert. Shen Tsongsheng gritted his teeth and said, I'm sure this immortal material will be able to satisfy you. This time, he took out a lump of water. The water was constrained in a ball, constantly creating waves. The waves were not just on the surface of the water, but even within the water, it was rising endlessly. Although there were countless waves, they were uncluttered. The water waves rose and fell in unison, advancing at one moment and retreating at the next. It could be called an orderly advance and retreat. When Fang Yuan saw this, his eyes shined with bright light, and he said, advancing and retreating tidal water. Indeed, this was one of the 3 great waters of the world. Advancing and retreating tidal water.It was a rank 9 immortal material. This point alone made it far more valuable than the treasure blue beaver stomach pouch and the falling star rod tree combined. Not to mention that it had many wonderful uses. I have a total of 12 portions of the advancing and retreating tidal water here. I can give them all to you. Shen Tsongsheng gave his offer. Fang Yuan could not help but sigh lightly. Shen clan is worthy of being a super force of Eastern Sea. You really have impressive assets. Shen Tsongsheng smiled. We are flattered. But at the next moment, Fang Yuan said, but that's not enough. It's not enough? Shen Tsongsheng's pupil shrank as he showed an awkward expression. Fang Yuan sneered and began to use his daybreak swords again, stabbing Shenshang one sword at a time. Shenshang was still insane and kept on growling. Shen Tsongsheng gnashed his teeth as he watched his ancestor being attacked. My ancestor is insane now. He is not the same as an intact rank 8 Gu immortal. We both know that. But as you said before, there should still be times when he doesn't go crazy, shouldn't there? Fang Yuan was still sneering. Fang Yuan. Shen Tsongsheng said in a low voice. What? Fang Yuan raised his hand. A large number of daybreak flying swords shot towards Shenshang. Shen Tsongsheng almost gritted his teeth till they shattered. All right, what else do you want, immortal Gu? Of course I won't be that greedy. Fang Yuan shook his head and said with ease, I want immortal materials, but not like the 3 that you gave me. They are all too highly ranked. I need a large number of rank 6 and 7 immortal materials. The larger the variety and quantity, the better it will be. Shen clan is one of the super forces of Eastern Sea. You own 7 large sea areas and thousands of middle and small sea areas. You'll even have 2 rank 8 existences in the future. This little request should not be hard, right? Of course not. Shen Tsongsheng's expression was heavy. But what will our Shen clan get? A crazy rank 8? He is a hidden threat himself. And it's a hidden threat that can even force the merciful Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable to personally take action to eliminate. Shen Tsongsheng was definitely a qualified leader. When it came to the clan's interests, he was logical to the point of being almost emotionless. Undeniably, Shenshang's insanity had caused his value to plummet immensely. And the terrifying hidden danger he was carrying further reduced this value to almost a negative number. Shen clan wanted as many rank 8s as they could. But they did not want a crazy rank 8 without any reasoning. A rank 8 without sanity was just a burden. Unable to differentiate enemy and friend, they were a laughingstock for others, and would even bring calamity to Shen clan because of their reckless killing. Shen Tsongsheng saw the hidden threat within Shenshang and kept the worry in his heart. He also did not have the slightest confidence that he would be able to solve this problem. Therefore, when he took out these 3 valuable resources in exchange for Shenshang, he showed great sincerity. Fang Yuan laughed and pointed his finger at Shenshang. He is your ancestor, the person you went to great lengths to save. At this point, he paused. Of course, this is by no means the only thing you will get. You'll also gain my friendship. Oh, Shen Tsongsheng showed a look of sudden interest. How so? In today's world, with the earth veins frequently shifting and the 5 regions fusing as one, it's bound to be a chaotic world. Although Shen Clan is in Eastern Sea, it is by no means a paradise. Eastern Sea has the most resources and wealth that lure people's greed. Even when the 5 regional walls exist, there is a steady stream of Gu immortals coming here. What do you think will happen in the future? Fang Yuan spoke casually. In this situation, what is the use of the differentiating righteous path and demonic path? If Shen Clan and I join forces, it will be a strong partnership. Of course, we can keep this partnership hidden as much as we want. Your esteemed clan is extremely affluent, while I am free to do anything I want without burden. Central Continent is far more powerful than the other 4 regions. So if they attack Eastern Sea in the future, will Shen Clan want to surrender or remain self-reliant? Even if you surrender, will all the super forces in Eastern Sea surrender? This is why there is never a shortage of enemies, but allies like me are extremely rare to come across. The fact that you and I have met here is truly a great opportunity. If we continue to fight, it will only lead to a lose-lose situation. But if we help each other, it will be a win-win situation. Currently, we are dealing with the Paradise Earth True Inheritance and Xinshang. In the future, we will cooperate to deal with Central Continent and manipulate the entire state of the world. Chapter 1910. Everyone's Immortal Materials. Fang Yuan's words made Shun Tsung Shun go silent. The sea breeze ruffled his clothes as he hovered in the air, deep in thought. Fang Yuan stopped attacking with his daybreak swords and allowed him to ponder quietly. The future of the 5 regions' chaotic war had already been foreseen by all the major forces. Shen Clan was a super force in Eastern Sea, but in such a chaotic situation, it was also like a rocky boat in a stormy sea. Shen Tsung Shung was not stupid. Other leaders of their respective forces also had great foresight. They were considering what direction they should take in the future when chaos ensues. This was a big change, and if one was not careful, the tide of the Great Era would drown all those who did not plan well ahead of the storm. This certainly included super forces. Throughout history, even in relatively peaceful times, countless super forces had disappeared. Not to mention the Great Era when a venerable would appear, almost all of the existing order would be overturned, and in the midst of this, countless super forces would be destroyed and created. The situation of the 5 regions would become completely altered beyond recognition. How should one attempt to live in such an era? This was something that every Gu immortal with foresight was wondering about. Should they cooperate and join forces with Fang Yuan? This was the question Shun Tsung Shung had to think about now. In terms of qualifications, Fang Yuan was perfectly qualified to work with Shen Clan. In fact, Shen Tsung Shung was still a little worried that Shen Clan was the unqualified party, because he himself was not a match for Fang Yuan. But if he rescued Shen Shang and resolved the hidden thread in his body, along with Shen Clan's immortal Gu house, they would have the foundation to cooperate with Fang Yuan. Shen Tsungsheng knew that Shen Clan needed external allies like Fang Yuan. It might be unlikely in times of peace, but in the future, when the 5 regions' chaotic war starts, there would be a great chance that Shen Clan would be in danger and at the point of extermination. This time, Fang Yuan would certainly be unreliable. It would be a blessing if he did not gang up on Shen Clan in the first place. Shen Tsungsheng knew very well about Fang Yuan's demonic nature. But what about the time when Shen Clan needs to deal with an equivalent superforce? For example, Xia Clan, Kai Clan, Hua Clan, Tang Clan, and even Song Clan. Shen Clan was situated near the center of Eastern Sea, surrounded by many super forces. It was as if they were caught in a siege, without seeking a direction to break out and grow while they could. During the 5 regions' chaotic war, they would end up as fodder for other powerful enemies. Under such circumstances, if Shen Clan could pay a large sum of resources in exchange for powerful help like Fang Yuan, why should they hesitate? Fang Yuan possessed a rank 8 immortal Gu house, multiple venerable inheritances, and was able to repeatedly trample heavenly court underfoot. Such a powerful battle power was what Shen Clan needed. It was something every super force desired. If they did not cooperate with Fang Yuan now, what would they do if he worked with their enemies in the future? In the current situation, Heavenly Court had to repair fake Gu. Fang Yuan wanted to deal with Heavenly Court. He needed a large amount of low-ranked immortal materials. This was a great chance to cooperate with him. Just like Fang Yuan said, This was a chance for both Shin Clan and himself. Both sides had their own needs. Of course, there were still many concerns. Working with a demon like Fang Yuan was indeed very risky. For example, if he goes back on his word in the future, he would still be free to do as he pleased. Nobody, including Heavenly Court, could do anything about it. What could Shin Clan possibly do with him? Moreover, it is impossible to make an alliance agreement here. Both sides lacked a basis for trust. But in reality, even if there was an agreement, could they not break it themselves? What if Fang Yuan goes back on his word in the future? As long as they cooperated and achieved mutual benefits, why would Fang Yuan decide to turn on them? Risk was definitely present. But how could anything in the world contain no risk? Risk was secondary. Profit was the main thing. Shen Songsheng would not want anything that was high risk with low returns. But when the risk was great and the reward was also great, Shen Songsheng would never let it go. The thing that Shen Songsheng appreciated the most was not Fang Yuan's battle strength, but his decision to share the mission with Miao Ming Shun, and even with himself. From this, Shen Songsheng could tell that Fang Yuan was different from ordinary demonic path Gu immortals. He was rational. He had the ability to think and act like the righteous path. Pondering for a long time, Shen Songsheng nodded slowly with a solemn expression. This is a chance for both you and me. Fine, why not take a gamble? In the future, if one remains stagnant, they will fall off. If Ancestor Xinshang regains his senses, I will definitely try to persuade him to stop attacking you. These are all the low-ranked immortal materials that I currently have. Please accept them. Shen Songsheng displayed his sincerity once again. Fang Yuan kept them all into his immortal aperture. He had stopped using Daybreak Sword. He slowly retreated. Good. I'm going down to retrieve the underwater formation. Retrieving the underwater formation was a lot of work for Fang Yuan, but in the end, he succeeded. Fang Yuan stabbed and injured Xinshang. Although the white gold pillar of light did not stop it, the Daybreak Sword still caused damage to the pillar, thus damaging the underwater formation. The underwater formation was already only 40% left. Xinshang had broken out of it, which caused a huge opening. In Fang Yuan's eyes, it was full of cracks that he could target if he continued to fight. Before Xinshang dies, the underwater formation would probably collapse first. Once it collapses, it was very likely to implicate the immortal Gu inside. Fang Yuan could not control which immortal Gu would be injured or destroyed, but if regret Gu gets destroyed, Fang Yuan's plans would be severely thwarted. This was also one of the reasons why Fang Yuan and Shen Songsheng had joined forces. The formation was taken away by Fang Yuan. The white gold pillar that extended towards the sky dissipated, while Xinshang regained his freedom. Ancestor. Shen Songsheng shouted while retreating. Fang Yuan manipulated myriad year flying warship and cautiously retreated. Xinshang was still shrieking, fallen into a state of insanity. There was not the slightest sign of awakening. Shen Songsheng, do you need me to lend a hand? Fang Yuan asked. No need. Shen Songsheng stared at Shen Songsheng. Unable to figure out what state or condition he was in, there was nothing he could do. We'd better wait until Ancestor awakens on his own. Fine, Fang Yuan said as he controlled myriad year flying warship, moving further away. Just at this moment, Xinshang suddenly moved. His body was like an arrow, flying away. Ancestor. Shen Songsheng cried out and chased after him. Fang Yuan likewise maneuvered myriad year flying warship to chase after him. But Xinshang was extremely fast. Myriad year flying warship was only a little bit faster. Fang Yuan did not dare to use myriad year flying warship to directly stop Xinshang. Because of this, Xinshang managed to fly out of regret crying sea. Shen Songsheng and Fang Yuan wanted to continue their pursuit, but they were stopped by an invisible barrier. Damn it. Shen Songsheng's face was livid. He almost cursed out loud. This was the method of Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable, which he had already experienced before. It prevented the foreign Gu immortals from running around, so every mission had a certain limitation on where they could go. This constraint did not take effect on Xinshang, but it obstructed Fang Yuan and Shen Songsheng. The two of them could only watch as Xinshang flew away in a blur, eventually turning into a small black dot in the sky. It looks like he won't come back. Fang Yuan sighed. Shen Songsheng looked stiff and watched for a long time before finally regaining his usual demeanor. He turned to Fang Yuan and forced a smile. In that case, let's go back first. Fang Yuan consoled. Brother Shun, there is no need to be overly concerned. Although your ancestor escaped, he cannot leave Dragon Whale Paradise. If he comes to his senses, he will definitely try to contact you by all means. If he is still insane, that would be even easier for us. The Merit Obelisk will not watch him endanger the environment and people. There will surely be more missions to come, just like this one, to kill your ancestor Xinsha. Fang Yuan's words were reasonable. Shun Tsungsheng listened and nodded repeatedly. The look on his face eased a little. Under the Merit Obelisk, the atmosphere was tense and heavy. Point 2 groups of people were distinctly separated. Point 1 group consisted of Miao Ming Shun, Zheng Luo Zi, Tu Tua, and the rest. The other group consisted of the Shun clan members, with Ren Xiaoping and Tong Hua around. I wonder what's going on in Regret Crying Sea. Yeah, that is Fang Yuan after all. This demon has defeated Heavenly Court time and again. He is really scary. My clan has 2 rank 8 Gu immortals that can help out each other. Especially with Ancestor Xinshang here. Fang Yuan isn't anything to fear. Don't forget, the reason why Fang Yuan was able to defeat Heavenly Court was because they were in the River of Time. But our first Supreme Elder is also restricted by Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable, so he can't fight Fang Yuan anyway. Sigh. The Shun clan Gu immortals whispered, while Miao Ming Shun's group remained silent. They were eager to teleport back and see how the battle progressed, but they were afraid that as soon as they teleported over, they would be affected by the horrific aftermath of the battle, and they might get caught up in it and die a terrible death. No one was willing to take a foolish risk, so they were all here anxiously waiting for the results of the battle. Point 2 white lights flashed as Fang Yuan and Shun Tsungsheng appeared together. They're back. Why don't we see Ancestor Xinshang? Fang Yuan is still alive, damn it. The immortals' thoughts were shaking as their expressions changed. Fang Yuan. Thanks to this information of yours, it will save me a lot of time and effort. Shun Tsungsheng exclaimed. Fang Yuan smiled and waved his hand. This is my sincerity. As I said, it will be a win-win situation if you and I cooperate. The group of immortals were shocked again and became dumbfounded. What the heck was this? You two were just fighting each other earlier. Why were you suddenly on good terms? What actually happened? Where was Ancestor Xinshang? The Gu immortals could not help but feel startled and amazed. Shun Tsungsheng laughed. I have reached an agreement with Fang Yuan to cooperate for now. Take out all the immortal materials you have on you. What? The Shun clan Gu immortals were dumbfounded. Shun Tsungsheng nodded his head and emphasized. This is the agreement we made. Transfer all your rank 6 and 7 immortal materials to him now. First Supreme Elder. The immortals looked at each other. Shun Tsungsheng showed a solemn expression and said in a deep voice, This is an order. The Shun clan Gu immortals were speechless. What has happened? Oh great First Supreme Elder, what in the world are you thinking? They were simply wondering if the first Supreme Elder in front of them had been controlled by Fang Yuan. The Shun clan Gu immortals dawdled before finally taking out their respective immortal materials and handed them over to Fang Yuan on the spot. Fang Yuan smiled and received them one by one. He knew that the Shun clan Gu immortals would definitely not hand over all the immortal materials. But it did not matter. The materials that Fang Yuan needed for his refinement had been mostly obtained already. After Shun clan's Gu immortals had finished handing them over, Shun Tsungsheng looked at Ren Xiaoping and Tong Hua. Us too. Ren Xiaoping could not believe it as his expression turned livid. Shun Tsungsheng's gaze was cold as he nodded. Shin clan will reward you for this. Ren Xiaoping almost cursed it out loud. Your Shin clan is cooperating with Fang Yuan. What does that have to do with me? I came to join your force, but you treated me like this. This is just too. Shun Tsungsheng saw Ren Xiaoping's hesitation and smiled slightly. Do you still not believe in me? Even if you don't trust me, my Shen clan's credibility is not worth your trust? Lord, please forgive me. Of course I believe you. It was just that I could not react in time. Ren Xiaoping laughed and endured the pain while transferring most of his immortal materials to Fang Yuan. Tong Hua had an extremely ugly expression, but she had no choice but to follow him.